Good morning, our beautiful PIA family. My name is Ariel Rivera, and I am the PIA National President. Today, in honor of Veterans Day, I have the privilege and the honor of interviewing an insurance professional who not only is a leader in our industry, but who also served for our country. So, on behalf of every member and affiliate of the National Association of Professional Insurance Agents, we want to say thank you, veterans. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed this interview. Today, I have the most profound honor of saying, number one, happy veterans to every veteran out there, but more importantly, of interviewing insurance industry leaders who are also veterans who have served in the military. And in this case, I'm bringing you the one and only who also serves on the national board. Thank you for doing that, Mr. Jon Black. In your case, John, it's a little bit different from me because you serve in the Air Force, and my uncle retired and served in the Air Force as well. So I know a little bit about that military branch. I mean, I know a little bit about almost all of them, but that one was very close to my heart for many years. So, John, thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. It is an honor to have you.
Thank you, Ariel.
So, John,
Uh,
let me ask you real quick. Can you share a little bit about your military background?
sure. I served in the Air Force, and of course, you've already interviewed Paul, who was in the Army and a Marine, and so they're always going to say that the Air Force had it the best. We had the best bases, the best food, and it's probably true. There's no question about it. But we were an important support entity, and we certainly did our part and have done our part during the different wars. So I have no qualms about having served in the Air Force. I was a medic, so I actually was assigned to the flight surgeon's office. So my primary job was doing flight physicals on pilots, so keeping them in the air.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't know
Right.
about that about
Yeah.
you. And keep in mind, we've been together for many, many years.
Yeah,
I
right.
didn't know when you served, you were actually a medic. So
Yep.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And keeping pilots in the air. And again, they can, you know, fight in a friendly way, Army, Air Force, all of them. But at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, you need eyes in the sky. And
Yeah.
without eyes in the sky, you are
Yeah.
fried probably. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing
Definitely.
that. I appreciate it. And one thing, we're doing and we have seen throughout the years is there's something special about serving in the military and also working in the insurance industry. There are many things that are similar, and I would love for you to share your thoughts on how serving in the military has helped you become the great leader and insurance professional you are today.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter what branch of the service you're in. We all basically have the same initial training. And I guess the most important thing was that you learn to follow orders. As an enlisted man, I had to follow the orders of the president and my commanding officers and even the higher NCOs. So following orders is extremely important. You need to learn to do it because it can keep you alive. That's probably the most important thing. It may not be the most valuable tool in the insurance business, but certainly, on the battlefield and in the military, it definitely was. So I would probably put that, top on my list as follows one of the things that I learned. But I think some of the more important tools that I learned and those that are valuable in our industry would be leadership and management abilities. I learned very early on, I was a dorm chief, and I was responsible for 46 recruits. And I had to get them up in the morning and get them to bed. And I was responsible for everything in between that didn't come into the actual training regimen. So basically, I had to be organized. I had to, I had to be able to, certainly, I had to be able to get the confidence of the guys that I worked with because they had to follow my orders too, and I was as green as they were. Next on my list, I think, is teamwork. We all had to work together as a team, helping each other get through basic training, both the mental and the physical aspects of it. And I think the funniest thing was right from day one, they used to plant in our minds that getting through the obstacle course at the end of training was the most important thing. If you didn't pass that, you went back and did your 6 weeks all over again. So you lived in constant fear. So basically, teamwork was important because, everybody had to work together for that common goal. And I think in an agency, that's very, very important. You have to be able to set your goals, and it's the team that has to work together to achieve those goals. I mean, everybody might not agree with everything that is set forth, but certainly you have to understand that if you have confidence in the person that's running the business, and you respect their opinions and everything else, you need to follow them. Let's see, working under pressure and problem solving were again some valuable tools that I learned. Out in the field, you don't have much time. If you make a mistake, things change on a day-to-day basis, so you had to be able to think on your feet and to figure out how you were going to get from point A to point B if your original plan, didn't come to fruition. And the same thing in our business, things change on a daily basis, especially today, underwriting, appetites, things like that. So you may, go into with an account to a carrier, and all of a sudden you might come up against a brick wall because it's no longer on their appetite list. So you got to be able to pivot quickly. Um, Another aspect of the military is cultural awareness. And because, you had 46 men that came together from different backgrounds, and you all had to respect each other's beliefs and what, your value sets of values and everything else. And that was extremely important. And the military teaches you very quickly that you have to set aside any of your differences if you really want to accomplish those goals. And the same thing in business and running an agency. You have to set aside your differences, whether it be with an insured or with an underwriter. You just have to get on the same playing field so that you can really accomplish things and more and move forward. And then I think another aspect of military training, which probably has fallen into some of the things I've talked about, is adaptability and mental resilience. The 6 weeks that Air Force basic training um, uh, comprises of is a lot of book work, a lot of field work, a lot of physical work, and everything else. And it really does take the toll because it's a totally new environment. You get up early in the morning, you go to bed early at night. Um, it's not like if you wanted to stay up to 8 o'clock and watch your favorite TV show, you couldn't do it. In fact, we just didn't have TVs at that particular point in time. So, you basically have to adapt to different things. An interesting story I have was in our fifth week, we had a course called Rumors and Propaganda, and basically, the you walked in and to the classroom, and the training instructor stood up, and he basically he just said, "Gentlemen, there's been a change in the format. You're going to start basic training again." And all of a sudden, your heart dropped, your stomach dropped, and everything else because you had done 5 weeks of basic training. And all of a sudden, the thought of having to do it over again, was just absolutely, it just overcame you. And it was a trick. I mean, it was designed to see how you would react to something like that. That if you were ever captured and the enemy, started to talk to you and propose different things, how would you react to them? It turned out that that wasn't true, but they just wanted to see what our reactions were and how would we recover for it.
They just wanted to scare you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically it. But you have to realize you're young. You've already gone through 5 weeks of training, and you you're looking forward to completing it and going out and your next phase of your military training, which is your specialty, and all of a sudden somebody's going to tell you you've got to go back to running 5 miles the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night, that type of thing. So that just wasn't a pleasant experience. So I think there are other lessons learned. There's time management, obviously, which is important in running an agency, attention to detail, which today is really, really important, emergency response, and how many of us, aren't affected by an emergency one way or another, whether it's a natural disaster. Strategic planning and execution, those are things we learned in the military, and you can certainly carry that with you running a business. But I think the most important thing we all learned was that survival meant working together. You needed to get through those 6 weeks and then out into the next stage of your training, and you had to work together to be able to accomplish that. So, I when I look back, at that particular point in time, it was scary. It challenged your confidence. Military was a big confidence builder. There's no question about that. But um, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. It was one of the best experiences in my life. And, as I say, everything I think I've learned in the military, I've carried over into the rest of my life, especially I think the leadership aspect of it, as you can see. It's something I think every young man and even woman should experience in their life because it does teach you something. So
Yeah, and there's no question, you've been an industry leader, and thank you for that.
thank you.
Also, again, I'll probably say this a million times. Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you.
But one of the things you talk about is teamwork, and having the ability to work as a team to go through that training process. I recently, had a beautiful experience with my nephew, who serves as a Florida State Trooper, and he went through the academy, and you see that camaraderie, right? That makes a huge difference in terms of how we all work together. And like you well mentioned, it translates into the insurance industry where
Right.
we work with our agency, our team, with our underwriters and our carriers and our MGAs and wholesalers. I mean, we're all in this together, right? And of course, we're
Absolutely.
not going to say, we're going to war, because that's, we shouldn't be saying that. But what we're facing now with the hard market and the changes and the catastrophes and everything, there's a lot that comes into play where people like yourself who have that military background are always, or almost always, right, able to succeed, because you've been through similar stuff, even though it might not have been insurance related only. But you mentioned earlier, like taking orders. Well, the first word that came to my mind when you said taking orders, it was underwriting. Okay. So the underwriting orders
Right.
are, these are our guidelines. We can't get away from that, right? And
True.
that's, and it correlates to that. So thank you so much for your service, John. This
Oh,
has
you're
been
welcome.
amazing. I wish you a beautiful Veterans Day.
Thank you.
And if you would like to share some last words or remarks for the military and insurance professionals out there for veterans.
No, I guess, I'm proud to be part of our professional association. I enjoy helping my fellow agents. And I've been in this business for over 50 years, and I'd love to be in it for another 50 years if I could, but I don't think that's possible. But I just think that it's been a great experience. It's given back to me. I've given to it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. So
Amen to that. And I look forward to spending the next 50 years with you. So I'll be right
I think you have a
there.
better chance of spending 50 years with
I'm
somebody
not
than
so
I
sure
do.
about that. We'll see. Anyways, thank you so much, my friend. I really
You're very
appreciate you.
welcome.
And thank you for everything you do for PIA
Thank
and for
you.
the insurance industry.
Have a great day.
Appreciate it.
I'll
Yes,
see you
sir.
soon.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye.